Okay, welcome everyone to the next presentation here at ABG Investor Days, where we have the pleasure of welcoming and hosting CFO of Ovzon, Noora Jayasekara. My name is Simon Granat. I work as an equity analyst at ABG, and I'm the lead analyst that covers Ovzon. So with that said, for the coming 20 minutes or so, Noora will present the company, and then we will follow up with a regular Q&A session. With that said, Noora, please go ahead.
Thank you, Simon. So welcome to this company presentation of Ovzon. As Simon mentioned, my name is Noora Jayasekara and I am the CFO of Ovzon. I'm a proud Ovzonian since November 2022, so bear with me. I thought we'd start with some discussion or introduction to communications and satellite communications, and then dig a bit deeper on Ovzon. So today's methods of communications, we have our regular mobile networks that we operate in our mobiles and on our computers sometimes, 5G and so forth. Their advantages being very mobile, of course, easy to carry in your pocket, high bandwidth usually, and quite mature technologies. Then we have our fixed communications, fixed landlines, which offer high bandwidth and to a relatively low cost. And then we have satellite communications with the advantage of offering a global coverage, not dependent on any land-based infrastructure, and quite mobile as well. The main disadvantage of satellite communications today is the high cost and investment required. So how does satellite communication work then? You have your mobile satellite terminals. We'll talk about them in a minute a bit more, which can be either operated on the pause, where you stand, wherever on the globe, or on the move, mounted on any vehicle, helicopters, boats, airplanes, and so forth. The signal then goes up to satellite in space, and currently lands in a teleport, a secure gateway in the land, and then is transported to a fiber connection to the receiver. And then the same flow obviously goes backwards. When we will introduce our own satellite, Ovzon 3, one of the unique capabilities of our satellite is that the need for a secure gateway in land is eliminated and built into the satellite, which offers higher security and improves the connectivity and the quality of the service. Currently, the mobile networks cover mainly only the most populated areas. With satellite communications and a combination of the coming 5G standard, we will be able to cover the whole globe. And that will lead to full connectivity for every type of users of communications. Today, approximately 93% of the world population have access to mobile broadband networks. Modern societies dependent on available connectivity, and almost any everyday tasks we perform are online today. Mobility, performance, and security, not least, are becoming more and more critical aspects of communications. Our customers operate most often in mission-critical operations where there is no room for malfunctions in the security. And that we see increasing as well, and that demand we see increasing, with guaranteed truly mobile, truly resilient, and truly performing connectivity being in the core of what we do as well. So a bit more about Ovzon. Our vision is to connect the world's critical missions via satellite. We do that by providing a service with high performance, high mobility, and a resilient service. We started off in Sweden in 2006. The company was founded by Per Wahlberg with some colleagues from a previous company called Swedish. The company originally was focused on mobile satellite terminals, but quite early in the journey, the idea of an own satellite with these unique capabilities I mentioned was started to emerge. In 2014, the company signed still our biggest and most important customer, the US DoD. The first order came in then, and that cooperation has continued ever since. We initiated the Ovzon 3 satellite project already in 2019, and 2023 is the year it's going to happen, and the satellite is going to be launched later on this year. During 2022, as you can see later on in the financials as well, we have focused truly on creating a world-leading SATCOM as a service concept, and have succeeded quite well. Our growth year in year proves that we are on the right path. Some words about the satellite communications market. The addressable market is large, over $20 billion US dollars. So there is potential. The market demands, as I mentioned, integrated solutions with efficient bandwidth being one of the most important capabilities. High mobility and cybersecurity has increased in importance in the service we deliver. Customer segments, we tend to divide them a bit in government and defense clients. Rescue services, we'll talk about that a bit later as well. Then we have different types of NGOs where our services are needed. Media, of course, and other types of commercial organizations. Okay, small text, a lot of text on this slide, but the industry landscape, so the value chain of satellite communications. First and foremost, you need a satellite. There are several satellite manufacturers. Our satellite Ovzon 3 is manufactured by Maxar. Of course, there are several others in the market as well. Then you need to get your satellites in space. Currently, the major launchers being Arianespace, SpaceX, and a few more. And then you need the terminals, as I mentioned. We started off as a terminal company in all essence. We produce our own terminals, which can be operated on the pause, so when you stand somewhere still. And then we cooperate, have partnerships with other companies who produce terminals on the move, which you can mount on moving vehicles. But we always adapt the terminals as well to function well with our service. Then you have your satellite operators. Currently, we lease satellite capacity from several of these operators. We find the right match for the customer's needs, the right location, the right bandwidth and capacity of the satellites. We will also cooperate with some of these operators, even going forward. Ovzon 3 will not be. We will continue leasing capacity even going forward. And then you have service providers, and I'll talk a bit later about our uniqueness, how we stand out in this list of satellite communications providers. And then you have our end users, the different segments, as I mentioned, and the different types of different ways in which our systems, our service can be used. So to whom do we sell and how? We talked about the market segments. Our key customers, still US DoD being the largest customer of Ovzon. Also UK MOD, Ministry of Defense. And in that service we cooperate with a partner, Airbus, who is acting as a distributor of our service in the UK. Italian Fire and Rescue Services, I have a case study later on in the presentation as well. In that service, we cooperate with an Italian company called Go Media, which also provides all the local support. We've worked with indirectly United Nations and the Colombian government. We have a short case study on that later on as well. And obviously Intelsat and IGC when it comes to our customer US DoD. So why are we unique? What makes us unique in this, this landscape of satellite solution providers? Ovzon Satcom as a service provides a full service for the end user and the customer. We provide the satellite terminals which are optimized to work with the service we provide. We engage currently external satellite providers for the actual communications or the. We work with a few selected teleport or secure gateway providers where the signal lands on land currently. But we always build our own network and use our own hardware in the teleport as well to secure quality in the service. And then I think one of the most important parts is that we offer a 24/7 customer service and surveillance of the service we provide. We have customer services NOC in Tampa, Florida, where most of our customer service personnel have themselves worked in the field. They know the importance of when things don't work, how important it is to fix it fast, and they understand the situation where the customers are, which has proven a very successful concept. So, bit where are we positioned when it comes to our current services and when it comes to our offerings when Ovzon 3 is launched later on this year. Already today we offer high bandwidth and a very mobile service. With Ovzon 3, we will be able to increase the bandwidth more. We have the onboard processor, which for some clients using Ovzon 3 will enable the direct communication terminal, satellite terminal or receiver, and exclude the need for on-the-land gateway. And we will also be launching a next generation terminal, Ovzon T7. Even smaller, even lighter, even more portable. Now it's not far from a mobile phone. Still quite not there, but not far from, which is obviously big advantage for the user and for us. So a few case studies. We worked together with an NGO connected to UN in Colombia to enable humanitarian staff in remote parts of Colombia supporting in the country's elections, to my understanding. We partnered up with Bansat in this. It was a very successful service. We are very proud to have been a part of this and enabled their work. And then a bit more maybe on the rescue services in Italy. They are known for their high competence, and that comes from the landscape they have in Italy, both Alps and others, where the rescue services need to be able to operate, and no infrastructure there, so our services are needed. As I mentioned, we've partnered with Gomedia on this. Our services were also used, or the Italian rescue services were called to support in the service work after the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. And we were quick to reposition the satellite we have provided them with, so that the area in which they were received the highest possible energy and best quality of service, which was also very, very much appreciated. And then some numbers before we open up for questions. As I mentioned, we've been focusing on growth, especially in 2021, 2022. The efforts in 2021 paid off during 2022, and we also managed to grow our business during 2022 quite well. The growth is amazing. When it comes to profitable growth, we are obviously not happy with the profitability of 2022, but we are moving to the right direction and towards positive numbers, which we are very happy with. And being in the industry and with heavy investments, obviously we have during the course of the years invested almost 1.5 billion in both the satellites, but also the terminals we produce. Our focus forward, continue on the more profitable growth path we are on. Obviously launch Ovzon 3 in the launch term, July to September 2023. And we'll continue to broaden and deepen our customer and market penetration. New customers, new geographies. And also look at our product and service offering and see how we can improve and broaden that. And continue positioning Ovzon Satcom as a service as the world-leading premium solution in the market, which we already are. Very fast speaking. I think we're ready for questions.
Fantastic. Thanks for the great presentation, Noora, I must say.
Thank you.
Always interesting to hear your thoughts about the industry and about your offering, etc. And I'd like to stay on the demand side, because as you've shown in this chart here, demand came down a little bit in 2020.
Yes.
Then it has increased in 2021 and certainly in 2022.
Yes.
How should we view the demand side going into 2023, etc.? I mean, I believe that some of this stems from Russia's invasion in Ukraine, but we also know that lead times are quite long in the industry. Sorry for the long question,
yes,
but talk about it,
no
please.
problems. So you are quite right. The geopolitical situation has generated some possibilities for us, and will continue to do so, I believe. It's not only the war you mentioned, but it's also other aspects. Society at large is more aware, so to say. And on the backside is, as you say, the long lead times. If you look at our quarterly report, you can see that the seasonality of deals we sign, most of the business we make in the fourth quarter, which is connected to the budgeting cycles of our largest governmental and that type of clients. They follow their process. But we work continuously to land new business also during the year, and not wait for the big bang in the fourth quarter.
Great. And I know that you've heard me ask this question before, but today most of your operations rely on leased capacity, and you also sell terminals per se. But you are currently utilizing the full capacity that you are leasing.
More or less, yes.
How should we view this going into 2023? Is there more capacity to lease out there in the market?
Of course there is. We have good relations with the parties we cooperate already today, but also with other satellite operators. So should we have a need before Ovzon 3 is up there, we won't have any trouble in finding solutions. But it's always a puzzle. We need to find the right type of satellite and the right type of capacity to match the client's requirements and needs.
And then Ovzon 3 has seen some delays during the years. And could you mention in brief just what's left to be done before it's now being launched? I know your new launching window is about in Q3.
Yes.
Around there. What remains to be done given your capex levels, etc.?
Right. So what remains from a construction perspective is the construction. So Ovzon 3 is the first so-called modular satellite being produced. It's exceptionally small and it's built up from several modules. And what is being done now is that we are putting all the pieces together as a whole. And then there is one final test to be done and the name just escaped my mind, where you make sure that the satellite will be able to handle the shaking of the launch. There's a proper name, can't remember it now. So those are basically, and then it needs to be transported to the launch site, some preparing work there, and then the actual launch.
But basically most costs are taken?
Most costs related to the satellite are taken, then there are launch costs, transport costs, insurance costs, so some costs still to be taken, yes.
Yeah. And then would it be possible for you to sign agreements on Ovzon 3 before it's up in orbit, or is it rather that we should expect more deals after it has been launched, all else equal?
So from our side, of course, we are happy to sign. But what we have experienced is that especially government parties have a hard time signing for services that do not yet exist. But any type of letter of intent or we are exploring, of course, currently, yes.
And then just finally, I know that you are currently have around 45 employees, and it was not too far ago you were half that size, and certainly that has weighted on the profitability for you as a company.
Yes.
Should we view you as an investment phase relating to operations and overhead, etc., or do you believe that most have been taken just looking at your current operations?
Well, I think, of course, we will grow as we grow. That goes somewhat hand in hand. But we have our base in place. We currently use consultants to some extent, and that will phase out. And on the other hand, we will probably broaden our total number of employees somewhat over the course of the next few years.
Great. And then just your long-term vision. You're talking about more satellites. How is the demand, or can you talk about the possibilities for you as a company to, in the long run, have more satellites up in the air after, or in the orbit after Ovzon 3 has been launched?
Right. So how this works is that you, again, in my simple terms, you have to reserve a parking space, and you have to reserve the right to use the frequency band in which we operate. And we have 12 of these reservations, in simple terms. So all possibilities are there, of course. And in the long term, of course, that is our goal, to utilize these possibilities we have created.
And I'm looking forward following that journey. That unfortunately
So
concludes this session. But thank you so much again for attending here today, and all else that are here today. So thank you to Noora.
Thank you.